I'm Patrick.
I'm Will.
You say this is
Wow.
Will. You didn't even do it
Screwing
right.
it up.
So do we?
Nope, this is it. This is the intro.
And
And we are guys with issues.
You didn't even let me say it. I'm Chris.
No, you said your words.
Wow.
You said your words.
Wow. You, sir, are
Changing it up today.
changing it up. Disruptive.
Man,
Disruptive
Structure
man.
Steve is not going to like that.
Disruptive man. That is his villain.
Disruptive man.
Wow.
I'm slightly annoying. I'm disruptive man.
I already had. I came up. I don't know why.
And I
My
guess
brain
I'm
works this way, but Chris was talking about how we do our intro. I'm like, immediately 2 ways to throw him off popped into my head, so I've got the other one already ready to go.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I am
Wow. So,
derailed.
what we're talking about in this issue is The Flash, the movie, and Flashpoint, the comic.
You know,
Okay.
this is a good episode for that because that was the fastest we have gotten off track.
Oh, man. He's channeling his inner speedster, tapping into the speed force of disruptiveness. Disruptor.
So I guess I'm the negative
I
speed
kinda-
force.
I kind of like Disruptor.
Disruptor.
That's a good villain name.
Yes,
Disruptor.
Yes. It's our villain for that issue.
I mean, you've claimed to be the villain anyway, so there
That's
you
true.
go.
There we go.
There you go. Disruptor. Oh, so anyway,
The bane of all podcasts. Disruptor.
this is the first time we've recorded this long after having seen a movie, I think. I don't think we've ever waited
No,
this
usually
long.
it's
Usually
a
it's
couple
like
of days,
right away.
you know.
A couple of days, maybe a week.
Yeah. No,
I
this
don't think
is.
it's ever been a week.
I had
think
to
it's-
really think back a
think-
little bit. I'm like, yep, I watched that movie.
No, I think what did we watch? We watched it and then we couldn't record that Saturday, so we actually had to record the next.
Was that the Spider-Man one?
No, Spider-Man was with Nick.
And we did that right after recording.
Yeah,
Then
Then it had to have been Shazam.
had to have been Shazam.
yeah.
So
It was Shazam.
It was,
we had some-
Shazam, fam.
We had some scheduling issues, I think,
Yeah.
for that one.
That's just called our lives. So, anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of our lives, does anybody have anything they want to share? Pat, you mentioned that you had something you wanted to talk about, didn't you?
Yeah, I picked up a board game.
Oh, you got a
here
new
we go.
board game?
Yeah, it's coming Wednesday. It's not a new board game. It's
Did you
been out a
kickstart
while.
it?
No, I picked it up
Oh.
on eBay because they're not even. It's not even in print anymore. It's Captain Sonar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
What is this board game about?
I was talking to Nick at work because he's doing a getaway thing, and we was talking about board games because he heard somebody told him I like board games. I don't know who that would have been.
Yeah, probably since he stopped me and said, "Do you like board games, Chris?" And I looked at him and I go, "Are we being sarcastic right now? Because I'm fairly certain you already know the answer." And I sent him my spreadsheet like that BGG sends off because I offered to let him borrow some stuff.
Yeah, I was telling him about Captain Sonar because I had a lot of fun when I played it with my sister's copy. And I was
How
like,
many
you know,
players do you have to have for that, though? Isn't it at least like 4 or 6 or something?
I think you can do it with. I think you can technically do it with 2 players.
Really?
I think that's what it says on the box.
I didn't
but
think you
You
could.
want a maximum of 8. That's the best.
Because it's
way.
like 2 teams of 4.
Yeah, it's 2 teams of 4.
So what is this board game? I do not know.
So, you've played the board game that I can't remember, Battleships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much that, but in real time.
I get an actual freighter.
You get
and
to
like
move. You get to-
carriers.
Yeah.
And
No, you get to.
holy, that's an expensive board
It
game,
is,
Pat.
it is.
I didn't think they were paying you that good.
That's why it's out of print.
Guess they kept having to print battleships.
Yes, 3D printed. Yeah.
Wow.
No, but yeah, you're a captain. You're on your own ship. You're moving around aboard.
Oh, okay.
No
You're in a
ship.
submarine. That's a ship, right?
A submarine?
Yeah.
I mean, you are.
It's a
You're
watercraft.
in a submarine, aren't you? In Captain
In both
Sonar?
of them, yeah. Both teams are in a quote unquote submarine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then neither team knows where the other starts. And so you have an engineer who's supposed to like distribute power, fix systems, stuff like that. You have a sonar person.
Is he the captain?
No,
Captain Sonar?
no, it's not. So that person actually listens to the other team and tries to figure out where they are on the map.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to say everything out loud and loud enough for the other team to hear you. The captain,
But only the
throws
sonar guy
directions.
can like relay the information.
Well, yeah, it's been a while since I've played it, and there is another person, and I don't even remember who they are. But it's a lot of it, and it's.
Do you have like a gunnery? Somebody that
Yeah, it might
deals
be
with
it.
like
yeah,
that?
it could be the weapons.
Yeah.
the
It's
Hard
weapons
to
guy.
be a gunner on a submarine.
No, it's not.
Listen, don't torpedo the discussion. Okay?
Okay. Stop.
Nice.
I was going to volunteer to be the torpedo.
So anyway, yeah,
Because then if we drink
just
enough.
just throw Will across the screen.
Exactly. I will dive bomb the enemy team.
so yeah, it's a really fun game. So there's two modes. There's an easy mode and a regular how you play the game mode. The easy mode is each team goes in turn.
The other one's real time.
The other one's real time. So
That'd
the
be a good
person behind the
convention
sonar game, the trying to figure out where the other team is, really has to be paying attention to the other team, and then also letting the captain know, I think they're here.
So
And it's we'll have to get enough
Did-
people around and play it, Will, because you're gonna
did this
Oh, yeah.
have a lot
game?
of fun.
Isn't it like
I'll be-
super expensive? Wasn't it? Did it cost you like $250,000? I heard it cost that to go on a submarine.
I was like,
Did you guys
Yeah.
hear? You guys hear about that submarine stuff that was happening?
wow, we're gonna bring that into this. Huh?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Boy, do I have some jokes.
no, we're not doing that.
About a yellow submarine?
But
Really yellow.
anyway, yeah, that's what
Okay,
my
so you're-
reference was because it cost $250,000 to get on
You're
it.
cutting this, right?
Sure.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Anytime somebody asks if something's getting cut, it pretty much automatically gets cut because you said the word cut. So you picked up Captain Sonar and you plan to eventually play it.
I plan to. Yeah, I need to get 7 more people.
That's every board gamer.
And then play. I mean, I picked up Turing Machine, and my sister and brother-in-law played it, and I haven't.
I was there when you tried to get them to play it.
I
And they were like, no, we don't understand the game. And then I sat there, and they're both smarter than me. And they listened to you explain it to them. And I understood what you were saying.
yeah.
And they still were like, yeah, whatever.
And then I got Holotype that I played at Gen Con, and I'm like, okay, this game's great. And I bought it, and I still haven't played it.
I can't remember the last. Oh, I almost got to play Kabuto Sumo recently, but I didn't get to.
I don't.
That
have
was on my trip to North Carolina for my father-in-law's wedding. My now, what would be, can you have a stepbrother-in-law? I guess that's what.
I mean,
Technically-
technically.
yeah.
Technically, my new stepbrother-in-law brought, he likes board games, and he brought Kabuto Sumo and set it up, and then I didn't get a chance to actually play it. Well, I haven't been doing anything like that.
Was that the loudest bird in history?
Yeah, you heard that too, right?
I did.
Okay, good.
Anyway,
No, definitely not the loudest bird in history.
Oh my gosh, my father went through this phase where he would change his ringtone to just be random birds.
yeah. Oh, jeez.
Like he would look up a different bird, and he had this one. Anytime anyone heard it, and this is while I was working with him, it was the most annoying sound. People thought it was like some alarm going off in the distance. I'll have to ask him what it was.
He's like, no, that was the red-crested corbel wobbler.
No, it was literally so annoying. He wasn't really our boss, but technically our boss when we were doing like the whole cabinet thing. showed up and he's like, "Could you please like change that?" And he heard it one time.
Wow.
After the first time, he's like, "Please don't play that."
You
anymore.
heard it here. Brad likes annoying ringtones.
He kept it that long just because I found it so annoying.
Oh, so he did it for his son.
That's
Yeah,
great.
literally.
It is.
Thanks,
That's
Dad.
a beautiful
That is a
story.
beautiful story. Hey,
things
Will,
to
have you
aspire.
played Windward?
We keep meaning to
No.
play it. I want to play
Because
it.
you said
you
we
want
need
me
to play it
it
with Will. We need Windy Will.
We need Wendy
Well,
Will.
Yeah, I'm a bit
Will
of a
word.
windbag.
It's Willward.
That's Wilward. Anyway, yeah. So I'm excited
cool.
to put that on my shelf and look at it for the next 5 years.
Wow. That's too real. That was raw.
All board gamers out there just sympathized.
Yeah, they did. I haven't played Foundations of Rome since we played it last.
That was fun.
That's a great game.
Patrick is just looking at his board game
I
shelf
really
right now,
am.
thinking about all the board games that he doesn't play.
Maybe we should switch spots, Pat, so you can look at your
So I-
cool
so I can
Batman.
look at Oracle Database 12C.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And start dozing off just as you think about that book. How about you, Will? Did you do anything interesting recently?
You know, I was thinking about this earlier, and I thought I came up with a response.
But
Well,
then,
Well, but then I didn't.
Hey, did you start
Hey.
Waybound yet?
I finished it.
Shh. Okay. I have 3 hours left to go because,
how do you still have 3 hours?
dude,
left to go?
my wife and I were listening to it together on the
that's-
trip.
that makes sense.
On our drive back home from North Carolina. So we listened to Dread God on the way down. So we would have that fresh in our minds. And then we started Waybound, the final book in Cradle, because all of our faithful listener knows that we can't go an episode without mentioning that we've been reading Will White books.
Right.
And so I started it. We were listening to it on the way home, and we didn't get it done. And we've only had one time where we both had time to listen since then together, because we were like, oh, that was kind of fun to listen together because we react at the same time and stuff. And so that was it was a unique experience. So we are trying to finish it that way.
You're trying to sneak up on it?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. So
It's got to be kind of killing you at this point, right?
yes.
Okay.
I just want to know how it ends.
I understand.
But it's getting to that point where like I don't even think about it on the day by day because it's been a while.
Oh, no.
So
I'll have to start over.
what did you think?
I will withhold all opinions
Well,
so I don't
no,
ruin
no.
anything.
This is what I want to hear. This is not anything that could spoil, because Pat said, yeah, he thought it was a suitable end to it and thing.
I will concur. It is
That was the one question I had. Did it feel like it was a good conclusion?
yeah.
Okay, that's all. That's all I wondered. Did you
Yeah.
finish the captain then?
Yeah, I finished. I had
Okay.
to finish the captain before I would let myself start listening to Waybound.
Okay, because you still were like halfway through the captain the last time.
Did
we
you
talked
finish the
about it.
captain?
Yeah, I finished it before
Okay.
you, like weeks before
Oh,
you, I think.
yeah.
It has been so long since I read The Captain.
You say that, but it really so long in that time space is really like 2 months.
It's still, I've listened to so many books in those 2 months.
I've listened to it. I listened to another one by that David Hayes. David Hayes? No. Yeah, was that the name of the guy who did Forging Hephaestus? I don't remember now. I'm spacing.
I need to listen to the next book.
I
interested in
listened
that.
to
That was
another.
good.
So again, went to a wedding in North Carolina for my father-in-law, and my now brother-in-law and I were talking about books, and I mentioned that I listened to Forging Hephaestus, and he's like, "Oh, you need to read like any of his stuff. Any of his stuff is so good." And he told me to listen to Superpowers, which is an older book of his where it follows these kids who are being trained to use their powers, and they have like a college course. It's like normal college meets the X-Men Xavier Mansion kind of idea. And they're being trained to almost like graduate with a thing that says they can be heroes.
Wow.
And it's been interesting. I liked Forging Hephaestus better, but there's some interesting little things that are starting to go on. I'm getting close. I'm like 2/3 of the way through the book, so I'm nearing the end. So some of the intrigue is starting to come in. but it's a completed trilogy. Superpowered. It's not David Hayes. That's not right. Drew Hayes.
Hey, you were close.
I was
Maybe
close.
David's his brother.
Drew Hayes. Okay. Well,
Right.
so you enjoyed
Right.
Waybound. That's
Yes,
that
yes.
was what you. That's what
I will say
threw
overall,
towards
I
Way-
did enjoy it. Yes.
Well, and
I
now
also enjoyed it.
we're all waiting for a sequel to The Captain now.
Yes.
Okay.
Get on it with White.
Oh, he's not listening.
But
can only hope.
Actually, as much as we talk about him, maybe he is.
You know
he's-
what?
he's gotta- his
he
ears have gotta be
responds to
burning.
his social media sometimes. I'll just message him and tell him to check us out.
There you go. Cool.
Can't wait. Just like everybody does when they're supposed to meet with Barry Allen. They wait
And wait.
because he's always late
And wait.
for a very important date.
Okay, Dr. Seuss. Do you think it's better?
That was
That's
actually
not Dr. Seuss.
Alice in
That's Alice,
Wonderland,
right.
man. And so that I can't think of the guy's name that wrote
Don't.
that.
Look,
Super famous.
if you want to yell at Will, just contact us at longbox at guyswithissues.com.
Yeah.
He will definitely read it.
Yeah. Read what? The email?
The email.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So now that we have that, we can. You've all had it since the beginning, but we officially have it now. And we've mentioned it in old episodes about how we will have it.
Right.
So you've always had it, but we are in a different time space than you.
Just like the Flash, going back in time.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Maybe we're just in a different multiverse altogether.
Yeah, but we can't go there yet. What about you? Anything exciting happen with you?
I said I
Chris?
went to a wedding. I figured that was good enough,
Okay.
right? It was really nice. It was exhausting. 3 days of driving because it was like I split the first drive up one evening and then the next day, and then the way home I came straight shot. But it was we were only there for 2 days, so it was. But we had so much fun catching up with family. The day of the wedding, we got to see all of our family who live in North Carolina. Got to meet all of the bride's family. That was really cool. It was a good time. Like it was genuinely a really nice time to see everybody and try to connect. And I hung out with Theo a lot. I got to hang out with Cora a little bit, but she was usually off doing stuff with another girl there named Elizabeth, was super nice. So yeah, it was very busy, but it was a good trip.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we should flash back to the conversation we were having.
Oh man, that's a good
Oh, man.
flashpoint. So in old comics, by the way, and even in newer ones, sometimes they do a thing called like flash facts or something like that.
Flashbacks.
And yeah, but so first off, the movie. You guys saw it without me.
We did.
And I saw it a couple days later when I got back from North Carolina. Took Cora to see it, the two of us,
Nice.
on a cool date, little daddy-daughter thing, to a movie that definitely had some parts in it that my daughter, who is just under the 13 of PG-13, was kind of like, man, okay, that's kind of makes me feel awkward. Or like the scene where Wonder Woman lassos him and he's like, I've never had sex. And she was,
I forgot about that.
my daughter
actually.
was like, like you should, dude, hand over her face. Like, cause she just learned about that this year, like at the end of the school year, like just learned what that is. And she was just like, why would he say that? Super awkward. I go, did that make you feel awkward? And she's like, very much. And I go, good. He does too. That's what they want you to realize.
Right.
So, and then the scene where he just keeps saying, over and over and over again.
I don't even remember
When he
this at all.
realizes what happened and that because the mom's alive, like Barry's not
okay.
working, and he's
Yeah.
like, and he says it like several. He's like every sentence he says it once or twice because he's freaking out. Cora turns and looks at me and goes, "Is that the only word he knows?" So, very very PG-13 in a couple of select moments. I did drop an F-bomb in it, so.
But you're pretty good with your kids about making sure they
They
understand.
understand. Yes. Yeah.
You do not
so
want them using that kind of language.
I don't permit that kind of stuff in front of Theo. But
Oh, yeah,
now
he's
that
still-
Cora is getting to that age where she can take in movies that are PG-13 and filter some stuff. I still wouldn't let her watch just any PG-13. But like stuff that's, most superhero stuff is moderately clean at least. And so like I still am not sure. There's a few that I would hold back maybe at this point because of the crude humor or something. But no, she understands like how she speaks and what's okay at our home and things like that. So I don't sweat it too much. Usually, we don't watch a lot of that anyway. But yeah. But what did you guys think? Like when you left the theater, what'd you say?
I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because
for what it is, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't I have absolutely no intention of watching it again.
Did neither of you or should I say, did either of you, I suppose, read the comic before you saw it?
I did.
because it was a weird twist because usually Pat doesn't and I do.
Yes.
But this time Pat did and I didn't.
Okay.
Right.
So you had already read Flashpoint at that point.
Right.
And you hadn't. So you had
Yeah.
no basis of like knowing what was
Other
coming.
than stuff that because they covered Flashpoint in like the CW and I had watched that.
Did you watch the Flash show that much that you saw the Flashpoint stuff?
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
okay. I didn't know that.
You and I talked about it because I told you like, oh, I watched the Flashpoint of like the CW version, and so we talked
that's
about
right. That's right.
the
We
differences
did
between
talk about that
because we were
because
So I kind of had an idea of what to expect because you told me about some of the stuff that Barry does to try to get back. That doesn't happen in the CW version.
yeah, and I think the thing is, so I enjoyed it too on the whole. I think we'd all agree that like it had some flaws to it.
Yes.
But it was definitely it wasn't a bad superhero movie by any means. And Cora's opinion was she liked it better than Across the Spider-Verse.
I would hard disagree with that.
So-
but
Yes, I would also.
Well,
disagree
here's
with
the thing. She hated the to be continued. Hated that. And she really likes things that are like funny or silly. And Flash had some really it actually had some pretty funny
It did.
lines
Yeah.
and some
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so for her, because of the humor in the Flash, I think that's what did it. I actually think that's what it was.
I thought that Across the Spider-Verse was funnier, but right now I'm disagreeing with a 12-year-old.
11. She just turned 11 on
11?
Monday. Yep.
How dare you?
Well, happy birthday, and also you're wrong.
Yeah, I pretty sure I told her that I like the other better. But I mean, as much as we give our opinions on comic books and movies and things, like that's what they are, though. They're opinions. Like your taste is there are so many people who would never even like something that was superhero. I know people who don't like Lord of the Rings, and those people
Are
I
wrong.
can't
Are
trust
wrong.
any opinions of.
Yeah, but how funny is that? Someone gives you their opinion, you'd be like, oh, how does it feel to be wrong?
But
It's a funny
yeah,
joke.
on the whole, I thought it was enjoyable. I liked that they did something I didn't expect.
Was it the bite cat or the bat kite?
No.
Because
Although, like that
was my favorite.
The
part.
Michael Keaton Batman, where everything is Batman.
Everything
like in
is
the old
Batman.
days.
It was
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Batmobile,
Anyway.
bat plane, bat kite.
Bat kite. I love the
No,
bat
I
kite.
did like that they did the whole like how they staged him to get his powers, like similar
Yes,
to the comic.
that was
I thought
similar
that
to
was
the
cool.
comic.
Yeah, that was very
I
similar.
thought that was cool. No, I liked that. Oh, and for anybody who doesn't understand and hasn't seen the movie, spoilers. Here's your spoiler warning, right? Like we haven't said anything major, but I'm about to. Towards the end of the movie, when everybody keeps dying over and over and over and over again,
Yes.
and they can't actually stop Zod, and Girl keeps dying, and Barry keeps like the other Barry gets injured, and Batman dies, and they keep like doing their time reversal, and that's what creates like the Dark Flash or whatever, the monster version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was interesting because I didn't anticipate that.
It was interesting.
I didn't anticipate that they would actually have them fail constantly. And so, And that being like you really can't change things.
Right. It was a canon event.
Oh man. Basically.
Because that's what Barry's mom's death is a canon event.
Right.
So because they changed that, that was the problem. That's
Yeah.
why the whole universe changed. By the way, here's a missing canon event. How did they get out of the police lab? Because they show that the police are around and they can't phase, and then they're like, "Oh man, we got to get out of here." And then they cut the movie. The movie just cuts, and they're back home.
I noticed
and
that
I was
too.
like, that. Now there may have been a sequence, and they went, "You know what? It's too long. We got to cut the sequence. Everybody knows they're going to get out. We're just going to cut it." That's my assumption. My assumption is it's an editing thing.
Why do I think they at least started moving out?
They did.
Yeah.
They started sneaking away, but then they got stuck to where there were like guys over here and there were some guys over there, and they were trying to figure out how to get out without tripping the alarms, which had been like re-engaged for the entrances or whatever. But then they don't show them how. They just show them get home. And I was like,
Yeah, because you get that
what?
weird, like Ezra Miller running in that goofy circle, like how he usually runs.
And it doesn't work.
And he's just like
And
squeaking.
it's super loud. And I'm like,
Yeah, like
dude,
his sneakers are just like
I'm
squeaking like
they
crazy.
100% just heard you. And then it just like cuts out when he realizes he doesn't have powers. Like they just show them get away. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought that was a weird edit. But again, most likely it was just something that got cut, some sequence. I did think the scene where he learns to vibrate was really funny.
Yes.
That was
funny.
genuinely
That was
funny.
funny.
Also, I love, so we talk in the one episode with KnightQuest. It would be last episode, right? You didn't like the Three Stooges.
No,
And I didn't like
was
it.
not
Well,
a
you
fan
didn't.
of Three
You didn't
Stooges.
like the actual Three Stooges, not just the KnightQuest. But you didn't
Correct.
like because you said you're not a huge fan of slapstick.
Right.
It's not. So I do like visual humor. Like it doesn't have to. I don't know if it would fall under slapstick, but the scene where young Ezra turns his face and the cowl doesn't quite fit it, and it's like across it, and his eyes aren't in the right spots, and it's just like messed up. I laughed out loud.
No,
those types of things make me laugh.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I was
Also,
like,
the CGI babies were just weird.
dude,
CGI babies
oh,
were weird.
my daughter pointed out a continuity error in that scene. She's like, I go, did you like that first scene? What'd you think of that? Because I have an opinion about it that's beyond, yes, the CG looked super weird at times. The dog looked funny, like in a good way.
Right.
The
Oh,
dog
yeah.
was like cute, silly, but the babies were like
The babies just
Uncanny
look like-
Valley, like
the babies
weird.
look like dolls to
Yeah,
me.
but
That's all
like bad dolls.
Right.
But no, she goes, I can't believe he stuck that baby in the microwave. And I was like, well, he didn't use the microwave.
Oh, it dinged.
And that's what she said. She goes, it dinged.
But I really feel like they put the ding in there for comedy.
That's what I told her. I said, that's a comedic effect.
because it wasn't
And
even
she goes,
plugged in.
well, and that's the flip side is that like dial microwaves will still tick,
Right.
but like punch number microwaves will only do that if it's running. But if it's a dial microwave, it'll still tick down to the seconds and ding.
But it
And
wasn't. But yeah.
But the point is that I told her, I go, it was for comedy. She's like, I'm pretty sure he just tried to cook a baby.
That was my first thought as well.
Are you guys
that's funny.
those people, not to tangent off to microwaves, but do you let the microwave finish? Because there's a whole group of people that will never let the microwave hit zero because they hate the beeping sound.
I'm indifferent towards the beeping, but a lot of times when I microwave, it's before work because I'm reheating like the last of the coffee I made the night before. And I will intentionally hit it at 1 or 0 and pop it so you get the single beep. Because mine will still do a single beep if you hit like stop or pull
Yeah.
it early. But instead of it going beep, 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 because other people are in my home and I'm the only one up.
So
So I oftentimes stop it, but I don't think it has anything to do with the beeps. And I'm the type of person that I will put something in the microwave and it will beep. And then it does the reminder beeps at least 5 to 10 times before I really feel like I need to go get it.
If I am by a microwave and it's almost done, I will stop it so it doesn't beep. Because I don't like the sound.
So you,
Okay, so
But-
you're in that demographic.
but you won't wait there.
I won't wait there for it. It can beep when I'm around doing things.
Thanks.
So
Things.
when I lived with a friend of ours,
Oh,
and
I
his
know that
wife?
friend. Yep.
they both hated that sound. So I would even if I was by,
You would always
Full
let it
beeps.
go. Yeah.
and
Because you're
he's
the
like,
villain.
I was about to say that.
Yes. I'm a
The
Slytherin.
disruptor.
The disruptor.
Disrupting the peace of everyone. That is going to be your name. You're going to be the disruptor.
It is
Disruptor.
amazing.
You're welcome.
But no, I thought that sequence was kind of fun. The thing that bugged me is I felt like they were establishing something that would come back into play, which, you know, they were playing off his metabolism, how he has to eat.
Right.
Which in the comics, he does have a really high metabolism. They talk about that sometimes. And there are times where you'll see him have like 10 pizzas or something, right? But
That sounds
they
amazing.
tied it to his speed in that scene. Like if he's hungry, he can't move as fast, right?
Sure.
So as a creator, as somebody who writes and things, I see that and I think, okay, they're establishing a status quo. This is a rule that will need to be established in the beginning of the movie because somehow it's going to come back into play later to cause conflict or a joke or whatever. And they never, ever reference
Never.
it again. Like not a single
I mean, not really. There was when he's
The movie Tron, the sequel, Tron, whatever it was. What was the sequel called?
Tron 2.
Was it just called Tron 2?
I have
don't
no
think it was.
idea.
They had a show called Uprising, but there's a scene in that I literally left the theater and I told my wife, I can't wait for the DVD because I have to know if there's a deleted scene. And it's during the light cycle race, like when they're doing the light cycles. And
You switched to Tron, right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. You're like, I don't remember this.
Like,
in The
there's
Flash.
no life cycle race
So-
in the Flash.
No, but this is a continuity thing. So there's a scene where he's on the light cycle and he's going and a guy gets like knocked off his, and those light cycles in that are these sticks. They're like little batons and you grab them and you pull them and they like materialize the bike in that movie.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Cool
Yeah.
effect. So one of those sticks like lands on the ground like a cycle, and he drives up and he leans over and he grabs it and he puts it on his belt. And then his bike gets destroyed and Cora shows up, blows through the wall, and he escapes with her. So the whole movie, I'm waiting for the moment that they're going to use this light cycle. Never happens. And I told my wife, I go, no, there has to be a scene they cut. Has to be a scene. Whether it was a conceptual scene or like a time cut, like they were like, we don't need it, cut the sequence. Wait. Get the Blu-ray or the DVD like when it comes out. Because I'm like, oh, and it said like deleted scenes. I'm like, oh man, here it is. Watch them all. Nothing. And I'm like, why did he pick up that stick?
So,
So
then
with the watch,
the Flash
that bugged
maybe
me.
did borrow because that's in the comic.
The watch?
The stick that turns into a motorcycle
Oh,
in
no.
Road to
Hot
Flashpoint.
Pursuit, he uses it in
Yeah.
Road to Flashpoint. That's true. That comic clearly borrowed from the Tron movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the Tron movie borrowed from the comic.
Well,
I was gonna say the food thing kind of did come back into play after the other version of the Flash got his powers, right after the police. And
Yeah, when he's eating the spaghetti or whatever it was.
spaghetti or the broccoli too,
Oh, yeah. He does that with broccoli.
and he like passes out.
Oh,
you know that
normal.
spaghetti scene made me want to eat spaghetti.
I want,
But then we
you
went and
saying
ate
spaghetti
B-dubs.
makes me
I
want
always want.
spaghetti.
Yeah.
But
There's a good spaghetti place down in Indy.
I enjoyed.
Let's go.
I enjoyed
If it's still
Michael
open.
Keaton though. I did.
Actually,
I enjoyed
we
seeing
were
Michael
we were
Keaton a
both
lot.
sitting in the movie theater, and they just did that sequence when he opens it up and you see like his bat suit.
All
You see
the
bat
bad things.
You see the Bat family suits in the background, and I just leaned over to Pat like, Chris at this point in time would just be losing his mind because then he also pulls the cape, the sheet off of the old Batmobile. And it's
Yeah.
the old like Michael Keaton Batmobile.
Yeah.
My favorite Batmobile.
So I was kind of shocked that because I had already read the comic, that A, it wasn't Thomas Wayne,
Okay.
and B, that Gotham City was free of crime.
Yeah.
Dead opposite.
Dead opposite.
But I think that, again, it's a creative liberty thing. Like,
Well,
if
it was
you
just a surprising
it
part.
was as much Flashpoint to the comic as if you read Marvel's Civil War comic is to the movie. Like, the movie Civil War is really nothing like the comic Civil War.
Well, I mean, you can only pay for so many actors.
I know that, but I mean, like, even the premise of it, it's very loosely following
It is.
But the thing that's cool in Flashpoint, our friend Nick, Comic Shop Nick, and I were talking, and we both agreed that we would have loved to have seen Jeffrey Dean Morgan come back as Thomas Wayne, because in Batman v Superman, they show that he was Thomas Wayne. And, he's played parts like Negan in The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the comedian in Watchmen. Like, getting to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a gun-toting Batman would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But the one thing neither of us could say we would like to see less than that would be Keaton. Like, if you're going to pick one thing that nobody could say, I want this less, it would be getting to see Michael Keaton be Batman again.
Right.
And so it's
But then
like,
they kind of play into that because you get Ben Affleck in the very beginning.
yeah.
You get Michael Keaton. And at the very end, spoilers, George Clooney.
So I think that was a reshot scene.
Do you?
Well, I read a post like 6 months to a year ago.
Fan theory.
No.
Fan theory.
They claim they saw an early screening.
Okay.
And this was before it was revealed that Zod was in the movie. And they said, Zod's a bad guy. They get Supergirl and said, like, they called it all. And they talked about Keaton, and he'd been announced by the time this person said it. And they didn't give all the details, but they were like, yeah, they fight the Kryptonians and Zod and all this stuff. And by the end of the movie, they end up, Barry makes his way back, and you see everything seems okay, but then a car pulls up, and Keaton, Bruce Wayne, gets out with Supergirl, is what he said. And so I think they shot multiple after credit scenes.
That could be.
All right, was that the after credit scene?
No.
No, that was just like the normal scene, right?
That was the
Yeah.
ending. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the after credit scene?
We didn't watch it.
I did.
Well, Will and I did not.
It actually,
Because I was like, it doesn't matter. They're
think we did.
scrapping all this. No, we didn't watch
but
it.
see, that's the problem. That's why people didn't go see the movie.
Right.
Was that attitude?
Well, I was
it's-
like, I'm not going to watch the ending. I'll watch it later.
What was it? Oh, okay.
Somebody told me it wasn't much.
No, but I still was. Oh, I think you. No, can't remember. I cannot remember.
Anyway, I've been holding on to a joke for a while. If Zod had a podcast, do you think he'd call it a Zodcast?
100%.
Oh,
Wow.
good.
Well, doesn't that what?
Actually,
so
no.
Instead of the broadcast,
No, he wouldn't, because he's not a fun guy.
No, he's not.
No. He's way too serious to call it a Zodcast.
I'm just saying that he broadcasts in
He would
that
be
movie,
like-
so it would have been a Zodcast.
He would be like,
anyway.
no, this is a Zod's podcast.
General Zodcast.
The General Zodcast, yes.
But no,
Is that the real specific here? Is it kind of a general
General
Zodcast?
Zod podcast.
But yeah, on the whole though, I liked. Did you guys like the speed effect? I know some people do, some people don't.
Yeah, it was all right.
Speed
The
effect was-
absolute best part of that movie had to have been Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Do you know about that? Do you know the
I know.
history behind it?
I think he tried out for it, or
There
he
was
wanted.
he was cast.
He was cast
in a movie that was
Was
canceled.
he actually cast?
And he was supposed to fight a giant spider at the end. And the director kept pushing. It had to be a spider. The movie got canceled anyway because most people thought it seemed bad. And that director went on to direct Wild Wild West with Will Smith, where, surprise, there's a giant spider boss at the end.
I think it's a mechanical spider.
It is, but the same director still wanted his giant spider.
Weird thing with spiders.
But yeah, I thought that was super cool. I geeked out when you see the black and white Superman and you see Jay Garrick running in that world.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Getting to see black and white Jay Garrick running I thought that was really neat.
I really like how they did the timeline.
Like how they would see it like that.
Like they were in the middle of a coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really
It was
nifty.
unique. It was really unique. I also liked how I liked that opening sequence before the actual hospital part where he was running from Central City to Gotham. I thought that was kind of a cool sequence, like how they made it look.
I just don't know why they had him do that weird build up before he started running.
The pose thing.
Yes, what the heck? Like,
I don't know.
It was funny how they like started doing it, like the Flash, but then he's like, I'm
gets
hungry, and like the kids show up, and he's like, can I have that candy bar?
Yeah.
And then it does it again.
he never ate that candy bar.
I noticed that too.
He never picked it up.
So I believe we all three agree with a big negative we had, because the movie it was a little messy and it wasn't perfect, but I think we all enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would agree.
And there was still some really cool parts. Getting to see Keaton fight in the bunker. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool.
Seeing my daughter leaned over to me at that scene in the first part when Batman saves the two Flashes and he just whoops all the soldiers. And she leans over and she goes, "Why is Batman always the most awesome superhero?" And I was like, everybody asks themselves that question.
As long as it's the right Batman.
Right. But the thing that was cool was that sequence, and then like his plane, like the rotating thing. I thought that was creative. Thought that was kind of cool. That cockpit, like how it would rotate,
yes.
and he could orient himself however he needed to. And
Which I'm sure would make motion sickness so much worse.
Getting to see Kryptonians fight and speedsters fight, like to me, that's worth watching a movie anyway.
Yeah.
I love watching people get to use cool powers. But the thing that I think we all can agree on that was lame is that movies today feel like they have to use like 80s soundtracks or something.
Oh, we did agree on that when we were eating. Like the music was just not there.
Like instead of hiring, you had like Danny Elfman's Batman theme and stuff, which is always awesome, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is cinema scores just incorporate all of these random soundtracks now, it seems like, more than they used to. Like they used to feel like they were in place, but I feel like what happened was Guardians of the Galaxy did it really well, and then they did humor well, and then everything that was superhero was like, well, we have to be funny, and it probably would help if we threw in some soundtracks or something. I mean, even the Mario movie does it. The Mario movie uses like licensed music a couple times.
Yes.
But
Shovel.
But I don't know. It didn't pull me out of the movie like it did during that fight scene.
How do you have my daughter's favorite line in the movie, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party," and not play Barbie Girl following it? If you're already paying for licensed music, they quoted a song.
Yes, they did.
And I'm not going to lie, having like more of a classic rock vibe and them running around punching people, way cooler than if it was Barbie Girl. Barbie Girl's tempo probably could have fit though, and it would have made the scene much sillier.
Yes. I probably would have liked it more.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that it's like, I don't get it. I don't get why movies right now feel the need to do that. When you have a superhero movie, but lean into the theme, make it awesome, make an epic theme that you can like weave throughout your stuff.
I mean, that would make sense. But they also could have picked a better song.
Dude, just in general, they used that type of music a couple of times in the movie. And at least one, I remember it at least once being like, okay.
Right. But
also,
for that fight scene, that was not the right music for that fight scene.
Also, did you feel like Ben Affleck's Batman felt a little not Ben Affleck Batman enough?
I didn't have an opinion either way on that.
It just, it
was
didn't quite feel like the same character.
It was weird, especially when he was outside.
He also
the
had
suit.
blue.
Like not like
suit.
that.
I like seeing the blue cowl.
Was it? I didn't even.
It looked
notice.
navy blue to me.
Although
his armor looked weird. Looked like he took a bunch of kitchen stuff and strapped it on him.
When he showed up and was talking to Barry about like, oh, you shouldn't go back into the past, Ben Affleck himself kind of looked off.
I mean, I don't think he's as jacked as he was. When
he definitely seemed like he was skinnier.
Yeah, you could see it in his face. He was thinner.
I mean, it was a different timeline.
I mean, not really, but
I know.
But no, like, it's still, I enjoyed parts of that sequence too, watching like Batman try to take down the SUV. But I don't know. I liked getting to see Wonder Woman come out of nowhere.
Right.
Just like she did in BVS.
I feel like that's her shtick now. She just comes in for 30 seconds.
She's like everyone's favorite DC movie character. And so they're like, hey, we're going to pay you for another cameo. So the question is, where does she come in Blue Beetle and where does she come in the new Aquaman?
Are those still part of this?
Yep. So we'll have to see.
She just keeps showing up. And then like this other random movie comes out that's not DC, pays Gal Gadot to just show up for 10 seconds and then leave.
That'd be awesome. She just becomes like the cameo girl.
Man, I want that job in Hollywood.
Cameo?
Yes.
There are some extras that are in like every single movie.
No, I want it to be a focus on me for like 25 seconds for like and then I leave. And that's
and you're just like you create a continuity of all Hollywood film.
Right. That's what I want. Yeah.
Interesting.
Hollywood, give me a call. Contact us. Longbox. Guys with issues.com.
I'm getting ready to shoot a film. Would you like to be a cameo character? That'd be awesome. I mean,
cameos are so popular. There's a app / website you can go to called Cameo, and you can pay people to.
Yes. I've thought about using it a few times.
Give you a cameo. So maybe she's on there. We could get her to cameo the Guys with Issues podcast.
A 25-second cameo with her.
That's probably pretty expensive. Like 10. 5 to 10
dollars. Yeah, man, too expensive.
No. Seconds.
that works too.
5 seconds would probably be all you. If we couldn't even. I bet we couldn't even afford whatever her rate is for 5 seconds. Dude, some people's screen time rates are crazy.
We'll just have her say our contact email box. That's just that, and then you can just put it in whenever.
Yeah. That's why people use copywritten voices using AI stuff now, because they're like, I can't afford to pay the real person.
Right.
So here's this way to get around it.
Morgan Freeman's losing out on so much.
I know, right? So I think we all liked the movie.
I think we all enjoyed it for what it was. I would say, faithful listener, if you end up going to see this movie, if you haven't seen it yet and think, I might give it a try, temper your expectations. Don't expect it to be a flop, but don't expect it to be, on par with your favorite superhero films either.
Definitely not.
Unless you're Cora, because you definitely liked it, but you haven't watched like any superhero movies. I tried to say film and movie together, and I said milm. Milms. Was there a knock on the door?
There was a knock on the door.
Hello? Is somebody there?
What is this?
Yeah, who's the best superhero?
Batman.
Batman?
Yeah.
Who else do you like?
I like the Flash, Robin, and Batman.
The Flash, Robin, and Batman?
Yeah.
But on to the real meat and potatoes of the day.
I don't know. It was pretty meaty.
A bit, something that perhaps was a bit more enjoyable than the movie.
Oh, the comic was much more
the
enjoyable.
Flashpoint 5-issue series, and we all did extra homework and read Road to Flashpoint, and I read the 12 issues that came before it, not just the 5 or 6 that were Road to Flashpoint. But sorry,
Right, I read the 12 issues.
did you do all 12? Or
I didn't do
you
all 12. I did
6? You
six or seven.
you did the Road to Flashpoint issues.
Yeah. I mean, there were only 4 that were listed as Road to Flashpoint.
Oh,
But then I did read the one with Captain Boomerang.
okay.
And
with the Black Lantern, White Lantern stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or where he releases Eobard Thawne.
Yeah.
And then
Eobard.
Eobard,
What kind of name is that?
Something from
Exactly.
the future.
which wasn't that a good.
Oh yeah, when they were when that line's actually said in the comic.
Yeah.
No, I was talking like the comic that had his origin story,
Oh,
where
yeah.
like you'd read through and it'd be like it would glitch back, be like I never had a brother,
Yeah, it's like he
yeah.
murdered everybody that
And
would
it
get in
go-
his way.
and he's like I fell in love, but she was already married. Glitches back. I fell in love, and her fiance randomly disappeared. She's like, "Oh,
Right.
I don't want." It's like it's too soon for me to have any kind of relationship. Glitches back. All of her relationships really end at 2 weeks,
Yeah, everybody dies or they disappear.
Right.
and she's just like, even then, he like kills everybody off, keeps her by herself, still can't.
Still can't. And then he finally is like, I was never in a relationship.
I was never in love. and
Yeah.
something happened to her at the age of 5 to where now she can't speak or something. Like, ooh, that got dark.
You're like, dude, this is a bad guy.
He is a bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
How like that whole thing was kind of nuts when the parents were talking to him. It's like, oh, that kind of like that's entered the family log. They were so robotic about everything. Did you guys
yeah.
remember that? Like when the
Yeah.
parents were talking and, oh, you have to
Oh,
go
yeah.
to like therapy class with your brother and
But I felt like that was more a societal thing.
like
Not
technology had,
just specifically his family.
I don't know, it was real, a little too real.
Right.
So I'm
Is
like,
that how your parents treated you?
Exactly, like
Oh,
robots.
man.
That's why I'm
That's
the
crazy.
Robots.
That's why I'm the villain.
Makes sense now.
Oh, man.
That's a lie, Dad. I'm sorry.
I like that he's like, no, I'm not going to let that one stand.
No,
If
I
you're
I
won't.
don't
still
believe
awake.
you.
I don't
yeah.
believe me.
So,
Let's go be bad guys.
So we read the extra, but yeah, that's what we got into. We all decided we wanted to do a little extra, and Jeff Johns wrote the lead up stuff, which is the same guy that writes all the good Green Lantern that had come out.
He's a good writer. I
Yeah,
really
he-
liked it.
He gets the characters. He can be good when it comes to understanding characters or really what makes like a team or a character tick. I think he's just good at seeing like the core of the people. But I know the Disruptor is here, but do you think we could be visited by Synopsis? Will?
Got dual personalities. I'm like Two-Face over here. I was going to try and freeform it this week
Oh man.
ooh.
because I kind of hate whenever I write it out and I read it because I do that.
You gonna freestyle
I
it?
get that reading voice down. Oh, and this week we read this and whatever. But so I was just gonna try and like improvise it almost. I can have an
Alright.
idea in my head where I
Go
want to
for
go
it.
with this. So it was like,
Okay, improv man.
He has
Yes.
all of the superhero names or supervillain
Nah.
names this week so far.
yes. So we get to learn about, a little bit about Flash's origins. Gets struck by lightning and doused in chemicals. Turns into the Flash. And, we read a little bit of the Road to Flashpoint. So we get to learn about Eobard Thawne. Eobard, however you want to pronounce it.
A bird. No, I'm just kidding.
And so actual Flashpoint starts with him waking up in the lab, finding out he's in a different world. Bruce Wayne is dead, and Batman is actually his dad. Aquaman and Wonder Woman have taken over parts of Europe and are at war with each other. And Barry finds out slowly that, he assumes Eobard went back in time and messed up the timeline, but as he finds out, sometimes you are your own worst enemy.
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint. Spoilers.
So,
Flash is the bad guy.
Starting out, did you guys enjoy it? You enjoy the pre's and the event?
Yes. Flash is now one of my favorite heroes. After
Is he
this.
really?
He was on my list. And I have the coaster.
Oh, he does.
He does.
Gonna
We haven't read any
fight me for
Superman
it.
yet, though. So
Dude, I got some good Superman that I could suggest. There's a couple. One of my favorites has Zod as a villain, too.
sweet.
Yeah.
Zodcast.
Eventually, after we get through all the stuff on my shelf, because that's all the things that
Oh, whatever.
Chris looks at.
No, I'm done with that. So
I mean, we are reading The Punisher at some point in time, right?
At some point,
I almost suggested that for the 2 episodes from now. Anyway. But so overall, so this really gave you a look at a hero that you enjoyed
yes.
way more than what you thought you would from the film. No, I'm just
No, I read this first.
no, but I mean, you saw him in Justice League. You'd seen
Oh yeah,
his version,
I was just,
and you were
I was
like,
meh,
whatever.
whatever.
But then you read John's version, and you went, "Oh, I like this." John's has a run, I think, with Wally West. I think Jeff Johns has a run on the Flash comic.
Nice.
Also, no, I'm not going to say that because I don't think I'm right. Never
I
mind.
mean, this is also the first time in the comic that we actually read the precursor, because we've done a lot of, like, the first arc of X comic.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always seems to be like a lead up that we didn't get into.
Yes,
Like-
but I really feel like that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of lead up that you didn't get into.
That's because if we try to jump into a series where it's like a number 1, you're still going to inevitably deal with the fact that these universes are ongoing.
Yeah.
That's the one
Unless
negative
you
I
start-
think there of comic reading in general,
Unless
No,
you
that
start
is-
at the beginning, and that's
which
just
is
ridiculous.
not that helpful because
No, I did
nothing
before
is like
any
that
of this
anymore.
like comic book podcast thing came up. I was looking at getting into reading comics, and all like everywhere online, the people say that if you want to get into, just jump into like the current stuff, and then
it's usually
if you
the easiest. A lot
if
of
you
times.
enjoy what you're reading, read the current, and then in between the current issues, go back and read from current, backwards instead of, well, I mean, not exactly, like arcs, whatever.
So-
You get the point. It's because there's so much, you can't exactly start at the beginning and then catch up. They say that's not really the best thing to do. Just start where it currently is. And
Yeah.
it was just some advice I had read.
Nice fan theories.
No, I would, I was going to save this to talk about it at the end of the podcast. So you're breaking me out of my structure that I
Oh,
had
good.
written
Oh
down.
Good.
no,
I
But-
gotta be the villain.
the disruptor.
Dumb to be
but-
the bad guy.
I have to say that I have an opinion of Flashpoint that while I didn't read it when it came out, I appreciate what Flashpoint is, because at the finale of Flashpoint, when you see Barry go back and meet Bruce in the Batcave at the very final issue, like the way it closes out, and they're like, yeah, at least things are back to normal.
It was very good.
But if you look at their suits, you're like, oh, their suits are different though than before. Like if you look at the Flash's suit, it's not the same.
It is different.
And so you're like, oh, but things aren't the same. And what actually took place was Flashpoint was DC's springboard that led into what they called the New 52, when they had 52 different comic titles that they relaunched at number 1. All comics, everything that had been ongoing, all that stuff, reset at number 1 and started with stories that were supposed to be really accessible and kind of like reset some characters. people who had been long-term ongoing fans were not happy because they basically, because of Flashpoint, they broke off character relationships. Character like Catwoman and Bruce had come to a point where they were romantically involved, and he like had shared his identity with her and all this stuff. And then the New 52 happened, and they had just met, and so a lot of longtime story arcs were disrupted that really upset people. But it is what brought me into comics as an adult. I hadn't been into them that much, other than picking some up here and there at like collectible shows or finding like a shop I didn't know about while it was in business, because most of them go out of business after you find them, it seems like. And it was the New 52. I was reading stuff about it online, on like just pop culture websites. They would talk about like, oh man, the current run of Batman is phenomenal, and Detective Comics is doing this really cool thing, and the Flash is great, and Aquaman is, for the first time ever, like, well, it's not really the first time ever, but the way people talk about Aquaman, that's how they make it sound. But like, oh, Aquaman's storyline is awesome, and so I was like, oh, I kind of want to read these. And that's when I found about Chimps in Warsaw, and I went to it for the first time on my birthday. Right after the New 52 had launched, they were on like issue 3 or 4 of like some of the runs, and that is when I started buying comics, and when I first started hanging out at the comic shop. And so Flashpoint changed my life in a way. Like Barry's choices like brought me into comics as an adult, and motivated me to find the comic shop and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool, because I look at this story as somebody who was a demographic that was reached by their goal of resetting everything with the New 52. And I really love the New 52's Flash. And they've even changed things since. They had this big thing called Rebirth after they did the New 52, because they were trying to reset some stuff that people didn't like the changes of, and they revealed secrets. Big spoiler warning for anybody who starts reading New 52. But once you start getting into Rebirth, you actually find out that the Watchmen were folded into the current continuity of the DC universe, and Dr. Manhattan had a hand in what happened when Barry's reset universe happened. So Dr. Manhattan manipulated the universe to make the New 52, because he was trying to hide stuff from people's memories and different things like that. But anyway,
So deep.
but
what's cool is,
sorry, you just saying that you were thinking about getting into comics and stuff, and then we started the podcast.
I mean, it was a little bit before,
for me, like Flashpoint happened, and it's like why I got into comics the way I am now.
Right. Yeah.
So this podcast is now the flashpoint for me getting into comics.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mine
But what's
too.
cool is they kind of did the same thing with the CW series, because I think at the time the only series they had going was the Green Arrow.
Yeah, it was Arrow.
And the Flash. And it was actually I think they made it like a crossover event.
Well, Flash spun out of the Green Arrow season 2. Arrow season 2.
Yeah, because
like episode 9 or something.
yeah, something like where Barry showed up before he had his powers, before he got struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm. I think he
But-
gets struck at the end of that episode,
Yeah.
because they were launching his shows soon.
And they actually changed some stuff in Arrow after Flashpoint,
Oh,
because he changed things up. And so some things that were going on in Arrow kind of, I think one of the big ones, I don't remember what all of them was, but one of the characters, Diggle,
yeah.
he had a son before Flashpoint. Then afterwards it became a daughter.
Oh, so they did they changed stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
or I got that in reverse. Like he had,
But his child was
yeah,
different.
like his child was different. I think some of the relationships going on in there flipped.
So here's a
yeah.
question.
I thought that was
Did
kinda
you
cool.
guys enjoy the lead up comics more, the same, or less than the actual event?
I say a little bit less.
I would say more.
Okay. So let's hear. I'm just curious to know kind of how that, because obviously Flashpoint was an event, so it was very tight. It has a ton of spin-offs, though. And if you thought the idea was interesting, I'm going to tell you now, there are a couple of the spin-off miniseries that are definitely worth reading. One of those is Wonder Woman's, because it really goes into the war. It shows her kill Mara and like behead her, and how she and Arthur were having an affair. And like, dude, it's crazy. It's a good backstory to the world. But
I really thought
that was a good one.
Thomas Wayne as Batman, and we didn't talk about it because Flashpoint's 5 episodes. We read 6 though, because we read that Batman one.
Yeah.
Right? Or did I actually just read it off on my own?
You might have. I don't know.
No, if you read it on the app started Flashpoint with
the
a Batman
issue.
issue
Yeah.
Right.
before it actually started.
There are other Batman issues too. There's like 3 or 4 other ones, I think.
Well, that is there more to that? Where Thomas Wayne's Batman and the Joker is Martha Wayne?
I think that
Or is that just it? Because I would really like to read more about that. That was really interesting to me.
yeah, there might be a few other issues. I believe there's a few more of Thomas Wayne as Batman. I don't know how, I don't remember how they all vibe together though.
Okay.
I own a couple of them. I own like the Wonder Woman one. I own the Superman one. I want to say the Deathstroke one's pretty good. But yeah, so you actually liked the Barry dealing with his distancing of things as the Flash and dealing with Hot Pursuit and the rogues and stuff a little better.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Was there a reason? Why do you think why do you think you'd preferred that a little bit?
I think I preferred that because there was a lot of stuff happening in Flashpoint that I had no context to.
Just like Barry.
No, he had more context because, I mean, they showed a bunch of different people, superheroes or villains. I don't know because I don't know them. I don't know how they changed. I don't know what's different about them. I had no idea. To me, that was just what they've always been because I didn't know anything about them. So
Except
I
for
feel
Cyborg.
like, right.
You knew
I mean,
Cyborg.
I knew of like Cyborg, and
Yeah.
I was like the Shazam kids.
That was cool.
That was cool that they went into one person, but I'm like, well, did they change it for the movie or not? Because I didn't know.
No, that was changed for Flashpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
I got that later because
Yeah.
later on in Flashpoint there's a scene
When
where
they knock them all apart and stuff.
no, later on in Flashpoint there's a scene where the kid, I don't remember their names, the main kid of Billy, thank you, touched the Flash and got a vision of what it was actually, what Shazam's like in Flash's timeline. And
Yeah, I
it showed
remember that.
all of them flying and stuff instead of just one.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, well that's different, but what else is different? Because I don't know. I think that's why I didn't like
Their
it as much
tiger was
as
cool too.
the tiger.
Oh
Was
yeah.
That was cool.
yeah.
You can see him. Everybody else just sees a house cat.
He's like, well, just my cybernetic guy can see him.
uh,
But yeah,
kinda
I
weird.
think that's why I enjoyed the lead up to it because, I mean, I didn't have that.
It was more isolated.
Yeah, it was more isolated, and I had more context to it than I did for all the stuff.
yeah, and you liked it. You said the lead
Just-
up a little less, just a little bit.
Just a
Oh,
little
I was
less.
close. I liked both of them a lot.
I really liked, I think I already said this, but I really liked the Eobard Thawne origin story. I thought that was really well done.
It was.
I thought Bart was a little bit too whiny for me to like.
Well, that's
Eat my
also not
Yeah.
like you don't have a lot of context around any of that either, like the family dynamic stuff.
Yeah, I don't, but still kind of whiny.
I don't know a lot of Bart fans. If you're a Bart fan, email us at longbox at guyswithissues.com.
Yeah.
People are going to know this is the episode we actually managed to get our email
Oh no,
organized.
I'm gonna put this in as much as possible from now on.
Just like how much you can fit inside of a long box. Speaking of what, email us at longbox@guyswithissues.com.
Because I've made jokes about doing like the,
Oh yeah,
the email plug
we've
before,
made
so
jokes about it in
that's gonna
many
happen.
many episodes. But
But no, seriously, our faithful listener, we do want to hear from you. We're not just joking about it. We would actually
we're
like
not
to hear
joshing
from you.
yet. Yeah, I did you guys like how they tried to fake out with the whole hot pursuit thing, with it seeming like Barry was draining people?
It wasn't Barry. It was, I think it was Bart. No, it wasn't Bart that he was
That was
after.
Barry. It was like an alternate Barry, wasn't
Well,
it?
it was alternate Barry, but he thought it was Kid Flash.
No, but I'm saying but alternate Barry, how
Oh.
he needed to like recharge and he would like zap their speed force.
Oh, I see what
how,
you mean.
How like the comic faked you out because it was Thawne like taking their youth,
Yeah,
taking their
and
life force.
he just showed up.
But his motorcycle tracks would always be there, and they're like, "Oh, he's zapping their energy," and I was just like, I know it's not going to be that. I'd actually read these years ago, and I couldn't remember all of the twists. I remembered all of Flashpoint, but not the Road to. But no, I thought I was like I would be interested to see how this hot pursuit Barry worked in his timeline. Like
Oh,
seeing-
yeah, me too.
Like driving the motorcycle
really neat,
after
yeah.
people and stuff. We got to see like the alternate future rogues. Will didn't read that arc, but like you and I did, and that where the rogues were like the good guys. They were the
Right.
cops.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, you got a little bit of context from that, from the Flashpoint.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's like issues and issues long
Yeah.
in the beginning. So,
In the beginning.
but yeah, I thought that the beginning was interesting. Also, I liked that whole mirror thing where they smash it and it's basically like it messed with him because he's like, what if my mom was alive? It's just like a psychological attack. It wasn't because they're like, what happened? Nothing happened.
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny. But also, I do the moment though where the kid that was found ended up being Zoom Reverse Flash. Like that was cool. You know, where he's like, haha, it worked. I've learned how to do things that even the Flash can't do.
Yeah, but you can kind of tell it was him if you actually read the.
Because
His
the
origin
kid
story.
looked similar.
Yeah.
That's fancy. You're a fancy man. Fancy pants.
I was about to say I've got some fancy pants.
Oh man. But yeah, I really like Flashpoint for getting to see Thomas. I love Thomas's motivation. You brought up how you'd read more of his stuff.
I would.
I love that idea that the whole reason he's willing to help is because his son's alive in the other timeline.
Right.
Because as a parent, you're like, oh, I would have much rather been the one who died. And so he's like, oh, if you fix this, if I help, my son's alive. And Flash is like, yeah. So he's like, okay, I'll help you.
And he gives him that letter at the end.
Oh, dude.
That's great.
Dude, that's like it hits you, man.
It does.
It
But
does.
that-
It was a
that-
good emotional moment.
That's another point in which the app kind of messed up a little bit because if you read that
You messed up. No, I'm just kidding.
Batman, I messed up a lot.
Jeez.
Not afraid to make mistakes. The first issue in the DC app for the Flashpoint was
Yeah.
that Batman, and at the end he's telling Martha like, "Oh, I can fix this. I can go back in like time where we die but Bruce lives and he takes over from me." And then he goes and talks to Barry, so I couldn't quite figure out what he meant by that because he went and found some watch.
I don't remember.
It was probably a calorie tracker.
Jeez. Oh man. The so
But yeah.
getting to our now that we're because we're just chatting, so we're gonna go into our structure.
No, Structure Steve is at it
Good
again.
old Structure
Stop it.
Steve.
Did you have a favorite scene in any of that?
I think the art was pretty good because there's one point when they're trying to, it's actually in the road to Flashpoint when they're trying to depict how lonely Barry feels. I think it was just after he's telling Kid Flash, "Oh, go home, I don't need you." And he stops in the middle of the street and everything around him is black and white, but he's still in color. I'm like, oh, that was kind of a cool moment. I kind of liked in Flashpoint itself where they try to trick you into thinking that Elemental Woman was going to be the traitor for the Amazons because she always like, nobody ever invites me to anything. Ha ha ha. Tee hee hee.
Man, I did not read that into that at all.
Well,
she always
they show
wanted
her sneaking behind Cyborg later.
Yeah, and she's always
I
wants
just
to be in
figured
the
she was
group.
enthusiastic. I mean,
No, if you're a spy, you always want to be like, oh, hey, yeah, I really want to be a part
I
of
also
this.
thought it was meant to be misdirection.
I mean, I did too.
see, this is why I'm not in the spy game.
Then they
I'm
kind of
too trusting of people.
they made it Enchantress, who had very
Yeah.
little anything to do with.
It just kind of came out.
It kind of came out of the blue. Like you knew someone was going to come out.
And she was like, I
And-
don't care who I'm doing. I just want to have fun.
I just kind of assumed Elemental Woman was going to be a misdirect. Like she's being a little too obvious about this to be real, but I still enjoyed it.
I mean, maybe she just had a sheltered childhood.
Yeah.
She's like, nobody invites
But
me to anything. This
secretly-
is great.
Secretly, I kind of hope she knew it was Enchantress. It was just for the fun, be like, I'm going to be kind of sneaky and weirdly suspicious about this so that people think it's me. But really, I guess this is just my inner villain projecting.
Maybe.
What about you? Did you have a favorite scene
My favorite scene was the end
with the letter?
with the letter.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
But Will was saying, I loved the artwork for this series. It was, in my opinion, the best we've read at this point.
You should check. The new 52 Flash series is done with like watercolors, and it looks so cool.
We'll have to read it at some point.
Yeah. See, as you guys are experiencing this, I keep just wanting to be like, you guys need to read this and look at this and do that. And it's like, we can only do so much at once, but I'm like, I want you to do so much right now.
Do more. All of it.
Maybe
But,
that's because right now, if I have any free time, all I'm doing now is reading
comic
comics on digital apps or by buying trades once in a while.
Or listening to us talk.
But,
again
That's
and
not.
again.
I don't call that free time.
and again.
That's just work.
It's not free time.
It's good work, but it's
No,
work.
but so yeah, like in Flashpoint, that was definitely my favorite scene. But you're also Will brought up the whole, just the whole thing of the Reverse Flash changing his own story,
Yeah.
pretty much. And
Yeah, that was cool.
Really well done as well.
That was really interesting. But I also like how that. So for me, one of my favorite scenes in Flashpoint is when they try to give Barry his powers back and it doesn't work. And Batman's like, "You're just nuts. I think you're crazy.
Oh, yeah,
I
that
don't
was-
think that this is real."
Because he's a doctor.
And he's like, "I
Dr.
don't
Thomas
care.
Wayne.
Do it again." And he's like, "Dude, if I do it again, you are going to die."
Yeah, that whole thing was intense.
A miracle you survived the first time.
That is one of my favorite parts. It's easy to say like the letter to Bruce just because like as a Batman fan, it's just cool to see Bruce get a letter from
it was
Thomas.
Just good.
But I really like the scene. So with the Thawne Airbird's origin story comic, they really lead you to believe that when Barry's like, "Oh, Reverse Flash ruined the timeline. He did this. This is why. Things are messed up. He somehow took my powers." And you kind of go, "Well, yeah, we saw that he can manipulate history. Like they show you he does that."
yeah.
So for me, one of the things that is one of my favorite parts of Flashpoint is when you find out that Barry did it to himself. That it was his selfishness to use his power to stop his mother's death that changes everything. And again, that's one thing that was my favorite part of the movie, by the way. My favorite scene of the entire movie was at the end when he talks to his mom at the supermarket.
Oh yeah, that one was
Dude,
amazing.
It was so well acted.
Well acted. I like how they slowed it down to add that weight because he took the can back out.
Dude, like
And
everything about that scene,
puts it back.
like even how she's like, "Hey, things will be okay," you know, and she's like, "Can I give you a hug?" And you're like, he's getting a hug from his mom,
Right.
you know. But then like, and that's what I like about Flashpoint is in the end, Barry succeeds because he's willing to make the hard choice. He realizes that what he did, like, ruined so many other lives.
Well, he also talked to his mother.
Yeah,
He started
yeah.
going back, and he didn't.
He had time.
He didn't make it very far because he's like, I can't go without the cosmic treadmill, which is hilarious to me that they have a device called the cosmic treadmill for the Flash.
Yeah, it's so he can accurately
No,
run.
no,
to
I
certain
understand, but it is hilarious to me that they came up. They're like, what does somebody who runs really fast need? A treadmill.
Yes.
What are we going to call it? The cosmic treadmill?
times. Yeah, where the movie's just like, no, we're just gonna have him run.
No, we're just going to have him run. We don't need a cosmic treadmill.
That was the first time I'd ever heard that because they didn't need that in like
Yeah,
the
no,
CW
I've not
or
seen
I
that.
thought they did have something he runs on in the
Oh,
show.
it's a-
the
Definitely a
show.
treadmill.
They have a treadmill he can run on, but it is literally just a treadmill.
Oh,
Yeah.
If he wants to go back in time, he can just.
I've only seen a couple episodes.
I've only seen a couple episodes as well, but in those first few episodes, he's running on a treadmill. Just a regular one.
all
Not
runners.
the cosmic treadmill.
No.
just a regular one. So what does he do? Like, because they didn't explain the cosmic treadmill, so you're gonna need to explain this to me. Does
Okay.
he on that panel on the side? Does he type in the date that he wants, like
I
a
honestly don't
DeLorean?
remember. I know that he can.
And then he runs 88
aim.
miles an hour and goes back in time.
Sure. He also rubs himself down with plutonium.
That doesn't seem safe.
Neither's running through the cosmos
No, he has a Mr. Fusion attached to the cosmic treadmill.
or a flux capacitor
But now that has to be built in already.
to the treadmill.
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Because remember at the end of the first movie, I can't believe we're talking about the Back to the Future. The end of the first movie, Back to the Future, there's a Mr. Fusion attached to the car.
Yes.
And you can just put whatever you
You put
want
garbage
into
in
it.
it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he starts digging in the trash. There's like banana peels and stuff in it.
Right. He's like, we don't need the power now.
But yeah, that's the experiment where they try to give him his powers back. That's one of my favorite parts
That is a really good part.
of Flashpoint, and the reveal that he did it. I love that reveal where Reverse Flash is like, yeah, you think it was me because I've wanted to mess your life up so bad forever. And he's like, but you did it. You messed your own life up.
And then he was saying that he can now kill the Flash because he's a paradox.
Yeah.
Because
He's like, I've always had to hold back because I don't want to lose my powers.
right, because the Flash changed the timeline while the Reverse Flash was moving between time.
Yeah, like he was not in the
He was not,
timeline.
right.
So it like freed him.
Right.
And Barry's like, oh no, got to fix things. I'm going to die. Everybody else is going to die. Children are dying.
And then Batman stabs him with a sword.
Dude. Because it's Thomas.
Batman is so. I don't
Why
know.
is Batman always the most awesome superhero?
I like
gonna quote
Batman
my daughter.
with a gun for some reason, and I don't know why.
Because that's why.
And a sword.
That's why Azrael's your favorite Batman. No, I'm just kidding.
Get out of here.
He doesn't have a gun. He has a. Anyway, we'll
It's
get
a-
into that later.
Yeah, okay. But no, that's my favorite. Did you have a favorite character? Pat, it sounds like the Flash, like Barry,
Barry.
became one of your favorite
One of my
characters.
favorite characters.
So I'm guessing he would be the one that you choose for this.
I mean, quickly he became one
Although-
of my favorite characters.
Just ran into your life.
Just ran right into my life
In a flash.
in a flash.
What about you, Will? Do you have a
Well,
favorite character?
I listed the Flash as one of my favorite in issue 0, if everybody remembers.
Yeah, we do.
As in the three of us and our listener.
So, all
So
four of
obviously,
us-
Thanks for
obviously
sticking with
he's-
us, folk.
obviously he's going to be like the favorite, but yeah, I might just have to stick with him. I was going to try and pick somebody else, but like, no. I mean, Thomas Wayne as Batman
Right.
was really well done.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
thought Martha was as the Joker was pretty cool too,
yeah, it
because
really
they're
was.
like
It's like her mind just snapped when her son died.
there's always this really close connection between Batman and the Joker, because Bruce Wayne kind of makes the Joker in most series on accident. I think he throws him in like a vat of chemicals or something.
Joker falls in the vat.
Well,
Yeah, Batman doesn't do it to Joker.
Yeah.
more or less, he's connected. But
Batman
in that
catches people
version,
that fall into vats normally.
normally
We'll get into that later.
the Bruce Wayne.
I'm glad you did that.
Yes.
Next week. Oh,
Yeah, next week we'll talk
Next
more
week?
about vats and
Vats
falling people.
Yeah. But they kept that dynamic, that
that's
that Thomas Wayne.
I think that's why it intrigued me so much, and the reason I want to read more about just that type of
That.
thing. Because for some reason, to me, and I haven't read a lot of Batman. I mean, obviously, you guys, all our listener knows this because we talked about it in episode 0. But I feel like that Joker and that Batman were a lot more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, violent?
Yeah, well, Thomas Wayne had a casino
Yeah.
where
I
all
know.
the gangsters and stuff would go.
But the thing that really got it for me was the Joker dressed up one of the twins as the Joker in that light.
Yeah, and
And then Gordon came in and
Commissioner
shot the one twin. It was just violent.
oh, yeah, it was a lot darker than
It was a lot darker.
The universe that was created during Flashpoint is just much more violent.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the children of Shazam like getting stabbed and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
That is fair.
The Shazam of that world has scars and everything all over his face from Wonder Woman.
What's his name? Captain Thunder?
Captain Thunder, they named him.
is that what they call them in that one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Now, I do have a issue that I have watched.
The Flashpoint
I've watched
Paradox.
Flashpoint Paradox twice in the last week.
So I told Pat that on HBO Max they have the Flashpoint animated movie called Flashpoint Paradox, and
It's
he
very-
watched it,
very
and he's
close
like,
to-
"Man, that's like almost the exact same." And I
Yeah.
go, "Yeah, but isn't it cool?" And he's like, "Yeah."
No.
So I was at my buddy's house last night,
Hmm.
and we were trying to figure out things to watch, and I was like, I mean, that's pretty good. So he's like, he turns it on and he's
they
watching
have
it.
they have quite a few good animated movies on there.
Well,
DC
now,
animated.
now I want to read the comic and then watch the movie. The
Yeah,
animated movies.
don't. I'm going to give you a warning. The Long Halloween and Hush, both disappointing. They changed too much stuff.
Oh, I got Hush right there.
I know. But I'm just letting you know.
I don't think I have the
Also,
Long Halloween.
the killing,
Anyway.
is
I've
it the
got
killing
Long Halloween.
joke? They have a really, the latter half of the Killing Joke movie is good. The beginning has something that I absolutely hate and not going to talk about right now.
Okay.
So,
Moving on. What about
my
you,
favorite
Chris?
character, I mean, again, it's easy to say the Flash, right?
I think he's a strong
Thomas was
character.
interesting, but
Really strong legs, really.
I
I got a glare from Will for that one. I'll take it.
I don't really want to. I don't know. I'll just pick the Flash, I guess. I almost said the future Rogues. I thought they were kind of interesting from the pre, like the very beginning of that, the pre Road to stuff. I thought the future Rogues were pretty interesting. I wouldn't say they're my favorite characters though, although I find seeing future policemen with the Rogues tech pretty interesting. But I don't know. It'd be Thomas and Barry. It's hard to not say they're the most interesting. I'd say if I include any spin-off stuff though, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are super interesting in that world.
Well,
Really
I wanna-
really enjoy that
yeah,
stuff.
I want to read that one. Too.
So that would be if you go beyond just our reading assignment for Flashpoint, I find their stuff kind of interesting. Superman's is too.
So
But
my
I was gonna say like the big difference between the movie and the comic. The movie had a lot of stuff with Supergirl in it, whereas Superman they went and rescued him, but he didn't show up until the end.
yeah,
Right.
it just wouldn't have been as satisfying as a movie.
Yeah,
Not to mention the fact you don't have like Reverse Flash in it anyway. So I mean, you already have to
they
change things.
They would have had to do 2 movies. They would have had to do a movie to
introduce
introduce Reverse Flash, or try to shoehorn him in the very beginning.
I'm fairly certain
Flashpoint.
they show a flashback to his mom's death. Maybe they don't. I thought in Justice League he talks about how it's like a blur that comes in and she dies or something. Isn't it?
I mean,
I know they're dealing with his dad being framed, but I thought that they did set up that it was him. See, the problem is the TV show heavily sets that up. It's like straight up.
yeah.
And I've seen just
Hardcore.
enough of the TV show that I remember what that looked like. But anyway, what about, did you have a least favorite part? Anybody have a part they absolutely didn't like?
Well, I didn't like that. I didn't know how
The
much
heroes
people
and
changed.
all that stuff. Yeah.
that
The
was
disconnect was what you didn't like.
right.
Not a specific scene, but like that for the issue, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the Reverse Flash.
That's because he's nasty.
So arrogant and nasty.
Dude.
But that's a good bad guy. Like,
Yeah.
No.
I would know. Because if you're like, oh,
I
the
thought
bad guy is such a great person, then he's not a good bad guy.
I thought you were going to say, I do know because I'm a good bad guy.
Yeah, I am. You called me disruptor, and
You're a terrible bad guy, though, because you're at least
don't-
moderately likable.
moderately.
Yeah, no, I don't.
And I don't disrupt that often, do I?
That's
At
right.
least I try not to.
No, I like to dislike him. So yes, he is a good bad guy.
Yeah, good bad guy. Least likable character, but not in like I didn't like this character kind of
Right.
way. Yeah.
I just cannot understand. And please explain this to me.
Oh, no.
How Captain Boomerang can hit the Flash at all.
I mean, the
But isn't
Reverse
that-
Flash got stabbed.
Here's the
I just
thing.
don't
Here's
get
the
it.
thing. Don't you think that about all of the Flash's rogues gallery, though, sometimes?
Yes.
Be like, oh, this guy's an ice gun. This guy has a flamethrower. And this guy uses inventions, the Toy Master or Toy Man or whatever is. I can't think of his name. The one that Mark Hamill played in the old 90s Flash. Trickster. That was his name. Trickster. And then you have like the tornado guy and the weather wizard, or the one guy's called like Twister or something like that.
Yeah.
Cyclone something. And then you have a weather wizard, and you're like, the reason they have to team up, I think, is to be able to hit him. But yeah, I don't know. Boomerang is just it's that rogues gallery thing, man.
It's all coming back.
In the CW Flash, their answer to how do you fight somebody that has super speed is, well, pretty much every villain that he's going to go up against that's substantial in the series has super speed or just threatens other people.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's really the only way you can fight somebody with super
Not
speed.
necessarily. It would depend on their level of expertise and your superpower.
I mean, in the
Because
show,
just because you have super speed doesn't necessarily mean that like you can take a hit. Like, so in the comic books, the Flash has this thing called the near infinite mass punch because he'll run almost to light speed around the world, which increases his cellular mass because of the speed that he's moving and all this stuff. And
Right.
then when he hits people, it's like a physics thing, right? And so when he hits people, he can hit like super hard.
Right.
But like really, if just because you're fast, like if you ran up to somebody who could turn themselves into steel and you just started punching them, but you had the body or what strength of like a normal person, you could just hit a lot more. You're still going to break your hands punching somebody who's like that strong.
So don't use your hands. Pick something up and use that instead.
No, but dude, if you hit a steel girder, what are you going to hit it with that's going to hurt it?
If you're going almost the speed of light, anything you throw in
No.
steel
But,
is
but
going
it-
to
for him
go
to
through
move,
it.
Oh, yeah.
for him to do that, for him to be near the speed of light,
Even
he has to run around
half
the world.
speed of light.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, normally when he's fighting, he's not running more than like 50 feet.
I understand what you're saying. I'm disagreeing with it.
He can't go that fast in that distance in the comics.
But he's fast enough that he can make the distance happen. What I'm saying is he is going
That
to
you
be
think he
almost
should
impossible.
run around the world every time he needs to hit somebody.
Well, no. Depends on who it is.
I just like that you're like, the Flash is my favorite, but nothing about his villains will ever make sense with the exception of Reverse Flash.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Or Superman.
In the CW
or
show,
any of the Kryptonians.
To be
or,
fair, Captain Boomerang didn't have regular boomerangs. He was using Black Lantern energy this time.
is
then
that what
there
that
you
was?
go.
I didn't
Yeah.
read all of it beforehand.
Well,
so I didn't.
okay. First off, for you to even know about that, because he doesn't know that much about it, you'd have to read like the whole
don't.
Green Lantern run
Yeah.
to know about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, really, you only have to read Blackest Night, but if you're going to read that and enjoy it, you have to read literally the whole Green Lantern run.
let's do
That's
it.
nuts.
Well, yeah, that's what we should do after Nightfall.
But yeah,
anyway.
I just, if you can move that fast,
I was gonna.
even somebody that's like made of steel,
I
like
think
you were
the
saying,
problem
will
is
never
that
be able to hit him.
In the CW show, Oliver does shoot the Flash as like a point, like, oh, you need to be trained in order to do this. He's like, no, I just move real fast. He's like, okay, whatever. He shoots an arrow at him. He's like, yeah, look, I just caught it. It's nothing. He's like, oh, it's in preparation. And he had set up two like remote, they were crossbows that triggered. And Barry was just standing there and shoots him in the back. It's
the element of surprise.
It's like some big scene.
The one thing you'll never find on the periodic table.
Yeah. Except they made
No,
that a superhero in that show.
On the periodic table.
It's either surprise or really refreshing.
Right. Right, I understand that. But if I'm in a fight, I'm not slowing down.
Okay, here's the thing. Realistically, when the Flash was created and these villains were first made, he wasn't written going as fast as he does now.
That's fair.
Yeah, it does get.
That like
He's pretty
back,
crazy.
He was
in
just
the
a
Silver
sprinter.
Age. Back in the Silver Age, when Captain Cold would freeze the road where he was going to run, and he'd slip and fall.
Right, which that's in Paradox, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but I mean, like technically,
That's his one weakness.
if
Ice.
you wrote things with the Flash actually being as powerful as what he's written as,
actually is.
everybody would be dead. Like he would literally just vibrate in to anywhere and vibrate his hand into their
talking
heads
about that.
and remove it and liquefy brains, and there would be nobody, with the exception
no.
of another speedster or maybe Superman,
'Cause he's
that
really
could
good.
ever
He's not
stop
going
him.
to do that.
I mean, there's that comic where he is faster than Superman. You were telling me about it because he.
Yeah, in Rebirth, Jeff
They
Johns.
they would challenge each other all the time to races, and sometimes the Flash would win, sometimes Superman would win, and then Barry was trying to run back into the Speed Force, and Superman is like, "Oh, I'm gonna catch you," and
He's like,
the
I'm not
Flash
going to
is
let you
like-
do this, Barry.
Yeah, the Flash says it's not a race this time, and just smokes him.
Well, no, what he does is Superman goes, you know, I've beaten you before. And the Flash looks at him and goes, and I've always held back. And then he just goes, and he's gone. But again, that's how he was written for that story.
Right. Anyway,
But I don't disagree that people with freeze rays and boomerangs and weather control shouldn't
this is a
really
tangent.
be able to beat the... No, because it's part of your criticism. This is the criticism portion.
yeah, but if I start criticizing superheroes because they're overpowered, we're going to do that every
Your
time.
thing isn't even that it's overpowered. Your criticism is that his villain shouldn't be able to affect him.
I mean, yeah.
It's more of a criticism on how they write the villains that are supposed to be threatening to him.
I mean, the only way that those villains are threatening to the Flash is if he stops to talk to them and then gets distracted.
Like he does.
Like he does.
So his
really-
weakness is ADHD.
Maybe he's
But he'll
not
read
my
a
favorite
whole
villain.
library.
Or maybe he's not my favorite
Oh, whatever.
superhero.
We'll read some more. We'll wait and see what you think.
Oh, we got to read more Flash.
And you got to do stuff like that just to keep it interesting. I get it. Like
Well,
if,
yeah.
if he was as good as he should be, then nobody would ever be able to touch him.
No, you'd just be like, oh, look, this comic was 2
Yeah.
pages long. It was like, here's a villain. Now he's in jail.
Now he's in jail, and the Flash just put him there, and
was
nobody
a-
saw it.
It was just like that blooper at the end of. Oh, I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
I held it back.
Oh, geez. I didn't know
Sorry.
what was about to happen.
Sorry,
And then
that you said that something popped in my head. I think you know what blooper I'm
I
talking
know what
about.
you're talking about. Don't say it.
But Chris hasn't finished it yet, so
My wife doesn't read or listen to the bloopers, so I made her do it when we finished the Dread God.
God, I think there's some good ones in that one.
Oh, yeah. The captain had
I
some
need
good
to.
ones,
I need
too.
to
Oh,
go
I
through
did.
those books and read the bloopers for those.
So,
'cause they weren't bloopers. Before.
Oh, did he add
He added
bloopers?
He
bloopers.
also added extended scenes online that you can read now to those. He's
Nice.
added some new parts. What about you, Will? Did you have a least favorite part, least favorite character?
Nothing that really stood out. As far as, anybody who wasn't really well done. Maybe like I have the opposite because I didn't know anything about those superheroes. They didn't really mean too much to me.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of, I blew them off as this is just a one-off story.
Yeah, I was just more curious. Like, I'm seeing all these
Yeah.
people. I'm like, I have no idea who these people are.
In general.
I don't know how they changed. I think it was more of, I would like to know more.
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking this isn't a great story to start with because we have no context. Like maybe it would be better if I knew.
Yeah, I didn't really.
I didn't. I kind of said before, I liked how they were trying to set up the elemental woman, but it was just so random where Enchantress was the
That's
the
one of my
spy.
criticisms is like it just kind of
And-
comes out of left field, it feels like.
I still can't believe I didn't pick that up on that.
Yeah, they were asking her, like, "Oh, why did you do this?" She's like, "Oh, just because."
Because I just want to have fun.
like,
I don't
I
care
just-
which side I'm on.
Yeah, she says something like that.
Something
like,
like
"Oh,
that.
I just want to attack and have chaos and use my superpowers." Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. That's what she said.
Yep, just like
Boom,
that.
boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Zappity zap.
Yeah, that would be.
Killed Billy. I'm surprised they
Dude.
straight up killed a child in this.
I'm not because they knew they could do whatever they wanted because it was going away. They were like, we're going all in. We're gonna wreck stuff.
We're gonna
But
kill a preteen.
I thought that that would be my one criticism. My other one is when Barry does kind of blow off his family. I understand that it's like he's dealing with this stuff and he's just come back to life recently because rebirth happens like just a little ways before that. And you have all this stuff going on that he's processing and he's thinking about the loss of his mom and if he can change it. But at the same time, I always feel like Barry's been the link that, like, I feel like he understands his place as a speedster and that he connects all of the others, and he's like their patriarch almost, like the person they look up to generationally. And so I thought it was kind of, I just think it's kind of lame that they have him blowing them off because I'm just like,
yeah, I mean,
it seems kind of crappy for a Barry move.
I think you told me that in some versions of the Flash, he is the Speed Force.
Yeah, they established that in Rebirth is that it's because he runs and generates the Speed Force that there is a Speed Force. It gets a little loopy though. Like,
Where have I heard that before? Was that in the movie?
I think that's a little bit in the comic because Motorcycle Guy is like,
Pursuit.
oh, you can use it directly. Hot Pursuit has had the motorcycle, and then
Yeah.
he kind of takes some of Barry's Speed Force.
yeah, he zaps him, sucks
Yeah.
him dry there for a minute.
But then Wally can also just,
That's where it was.
or Bart can also just run.
Yeah, but they draw
Flash.
off of it. But like Jeff Johns
I feel like
created canon that basically claims that Barry is like inherently is part of the Speed Force itself.
right.
So in the Rebirth thing, I think that that's where they go over that. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think it was in that comic where somebody actually said he is the Speed Force.
Maybe.
In the,
It might have
the
been.
ones we read.
I don't remember, but it's very possible. You guys have anything else to add to this then?
No, I really liked it.
Cool. What about you? You good?
Yep, I'm good.
Awesome. So
How many lightning bolts out of 5?
I was going to say cosmic treadmills.
Ooh, I like Cosmic
many?
Treadmills better.
How many cosmic treadmills out of 5, Pat? What are you giving it?
5.
Wow. We got a 5. He really liked it.
Pat
I'm
recommended.
not
recommend it.
surprised considering as a hero he moved up. He ran up
He ran up
that, the list that
the
much.
list. Yeah.
So that's super cool. But that's kind of the whole point of why we do this. That's what you were kind of hoping for.
Right.
It's like the exposure of it and getting to experience things and be like, that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. A 5.
I would also give it a 5.
Yes.
Oh man. Now I feel
So many cosmic treadmills.
so.
We got 10 Cosmic Treadmills at this point.
So I feel like because
Peer pressure.
I said that it is the reason I got into comics, which would ultimately be part of the reason we're even here right now.
So you're going to give it a 3?
I feel like I have to give it a 5 for its
don't
influence.
have to. You really don't.
Yeah, peer pressure. Dude, 5.
But to be honest,
give it a 5.
I love the world of Flashpoint so much. Like whether or not the event itself is like they've done other events that are awesome, but the world of Flashpoint, I would read whole comic runs that follow the alternate reality that's there because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, since I first read it, I have never forgotten the impact of the twist of finding out that Barry caused it when he thought it was his villain and it was his own choice that did it. To me, the level of writing that like for that to have stuck with me, it's like your whole thing with Mistborn, right? Like you read Mistborn 15 plus years ago, but the end of the series has always stuck with you.
Right.
And that's why you'll suggest it to people. So when we were talking about stuff to read and one of you said, oh, I like Flash stuff. I think it was you, Will.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, definitely read Flashpoint. Like that was one of the
Definitely
first
will.
things
Yeah.
that I thought. So I'll give it a 5 too. Just so we have
Man, 5.2.
5-2.
Jeez.
I'm glad we both reached for the same joke.
We did.
Oh, you heard it here first.
So
folks.
this is our second
So Guardians
unanimous 5.
Guardians and Flashpoint by Jeff Johns, which means that we will have to definitely maybe read some spin-off Flashpoints because we said if we all give it a 5, like for Guardians, we'll need to go back and eventually read the rest of the series or work the series in, whether it's all at once like we're kind of doing Batman or it's like every so often we work the next part in. Maybe we should do that with some of the spin-offs for Flashpoint or something. See how those go. It sounds like you both liked that idea of it too. Also, I want to say Francis Manapul
What a name.
did the new 52 Flash run, and I subscribed to that for a long time, and I loved it. And here's the thing. Longtime Flash fans will argue that they don't like it as much because it's Barry doing the things that Wally did. Because Wally is actually, before Flash Rebirth and the new 52 and Flashpoint and all this stuff, Wally was the most powerful Flash. He'd actually learned from Barry and taken it to a level that Barry never reached. Like, I think he was the first to really do the controlled vibration of the molecules. And I believe Wally got to a point where he didn't have to have the cosmic treadmill. And like he had surpassed his mentor. And so when they do the new 52, Wally doesn't exist when it first starts. He's just gone. And instead of being this important character. So a lot of people who were Flash fans, super, super upset about it. But the way they do Barry is so good in the new 52. And even the older stuff and the stuff with Wally's really good. Wally's a bit sillier. Like he has more of a sense of humor than Barry does. Barry tends to be a little more cut and dry as that police officer kind of vibe. But yeah, I loved it. I did. I looked forward to reading it again. I read the extra stuff. If I would have had more time or not been reading Spider-Man, I backed off on that some. Ever since we started Spider-Man, though, I've been reading a bunch of Spider-Man. But I would have read even more. But yeah, so we'll do that. We'll keep track. It's our second 5 trio.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah, that's because when the Flash is done well, it's so fun. It's like such cool stories.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could say that about a lot of superheroes. But Batman and Flash, for sure. I feel like both of them. Green Lantern, he's up there for me personally. But
Good old Hal.
yeah, if that's the one you like.
I don't know
But
any other
anyway,
ones.
so does anybody have anything else to add at this point? No?
Oh, I had something.
Did you? Well,
Oh, what the freaking government did to Superman?
oh, dude.
What the
Yeah,
heck?
Project 0 or 1 or what was he called? Like
It was Subject 1.
Subject.
And I really liked how in the comic book they changed his suit. So it's kind of references the whole symbol of hope because it
Oh.
has an S,
Yeah.
but then it also has a number 1 because he's Subject 1.
Subject 1. Yeah.
And yeah, and then they show the bones of a canine, and that was Subject 2.
I know, and you're like, oh,
And you're like,
crypto.
oh, crypto.
Well, I think they said there are 3 rockets landed.
Yeah, I don't know who the third
The
one
third
was.
is Supergirl's.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's
it had to-
Kara's.
Is it?
Because she's from Kandor. She's from Krypton's moon. And canonically, like, she does land after him, even though she was older than him at the time. But because of the travel, he becomes older than her.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, so she would have been Subject 3 then, I think. But I know I have that one. I have the Flashpoint world of Superman's. I own that one too.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
I wanted
well,
to point that out because stupid government.
but that's totally what they would do. By the way, like 100%. That's how it would happen. But
I also like the fact that Thomas Wayne was not a technophile like Bruce Wayne is. I just thought that was funny. The older generation.
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
use computers. I had this
Yeah.
old. It's
that's
really
true.
Old computer.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got.
Well, next week's issue is going to be the conclusion of KnightQuest. So that's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna be ending KnightQuest, and then one step closer to Night's End and the end of the Nightfall saga. So hopefully you've been enjoying listening to that ongoing idea. I think we've all enjoyed doing an ongoing series. So we'll have to discuss if we want to do that again after this. Keep working in those off and on weeks, and if you do have a suggestion for an ongoing series, you can send us an email. And
email us at longbox@guyswithissues.com.
yeah, so there you go. You can tell that we have it established because we say it all throughout the issue.
That's right.
We're proud of ourselves.
But, well, if that's all for today,
I'm Patrick.
This is Will.
and I'm Chris.
I listen to Guys with Issues.
I like how.
Why?
I like how
I
Will was like,
expected him to
like
be doing
surprised.
wrong again.
Why?
So it threw me off.
So,
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Wonderful.
You can catch the new issue of Guys with Issues each week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
Or check out our website, guyswithissues.com, where you can listen, find reading lists, follow along, and get to know us better.
You can also find us on Instagram at guys_with_issues and on Facebook at Guys With Issues.
Send us emails to longbox@guyswithissues.com and tell us your thoughts. Send us suggestions on what we should read next. We would love to hear from our listeners.
You do it. You do it.
No.
Please.
No, I will not be pressured by a 4-year-old.
Please.
It takes more peer pressure than that.